Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Amateur Investigators. Today, we're going to look into the mystery of the Lawson family massacre. So this is a very interesting case I found, very, very weird as well. And Akash, you actually proposed this one, so what's wrong with you, first of all? But otherwise, if you like what we do give us a follow on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Yes, you heard it right. We have an Apple Podcasts channel now, so you can listen to us on even more places. Follow us on social media. Akash usually deals with that, and he's really funny. So if you want to actually, see some banter, he posts every now and then. Otherwise, do give us a follow also on our website, mildly-interested.co.uk. We do post some articles every now and then, so if you want to listen to more about us, that's not just on the podcast or social media, do feel free to check that out. But without further ado, I'm John Suns.
And I'm Akash Lush.
And this is Amateur Investigators.
Mildly interesting. No, seriously, just mildly interesting.
Right, so Akash, picture this, right? It's
Okay.
1929. So picture this as best you can. I know you were pretty not alive at the time, but picture 1929.
Yes. Yeah.
All that you can remember from that time. A
Right,
dad,
yes.
a mom, and their 7 children go into town on a cold December day. Now they buy new clothes and have a lovely family portrait taken. That's not very usual for a working class family at the time, but the family had just bought a new farm, so maybe, no one really bat an eye on it. And it was Christmas, so, a family gift it is. Now fast forward a few days, it's Christmas Day, and Charles Lawson, the father, and his eldest son, Arthur, are out hunting. They eventually run out of bullets, and Mr. Lawson tells his son to go into town to buy more bullets. What nobody would expect, of course, is that right after that, one of the most intriguing surges of insanity would take place, as Charles began his rampage to kill his whole family. Now, Akash, guide us through what happened next.
So, a little backstory on the Lawsons. There's not much to go off of really, but so Charles Davis Charlie Lawson, or just Charles Lawson, married Fanny Manring in 1911, and they had 8 children. However, the third, William, born in 1914, sadly died of an illness in 1920. So about when he was about 6 years of age. And they didn't originally grow up in where the murder took place, but following the move of his younger brothers, Marion and Elijah, to the Germantown area, Charles Lawson and his family that followed suit and moved in and became tobacco tenant farmers. Essentially, they didn't own the land that they farmed, but they had an agreement with the landowner. I believe it was called sharecropping, where they would farm the land for him. But they all saved up enough money, like you said, to buy their own farm in 1927 on a road called Brook Cove Road. So, when the Christmas shopping spree happened, it wasn't completely out of the question. Even though that they were farmers, they did own their farm. And Associated Press actually described Charles Lawson as a well-to-do farmer. So we'll get into it later, but some people would say that this shows that the buying of bullets, I believe you mentioned, Santos. Some people would say that this little shopping spree showed that the murder was premeditated, while others would claim, they had enough money, they could do what they wanted. However, on the afternoon of December 25th, Charles Lawson first shot his daughters, Carrie and Maybelle, as they were setting out to their uncle's and aunt's house. He waited for them by the tobacco barn until they were in range and shot them with a 12-gauge shotgun, then ensured that they were dead by bludgeoning them and placed the bodies in the tobacco barn. Now, this all seems completely crazy and completely out of the blue. And you're right. There is no real confirmed act that set him off. It just seemed that one day he just got up and decided to murder what was going to be his entire family. After Charles Lawson had moved the bodies of his daughters to the tobacco barn, he returned to the house and shot his wife, Franny. I should mention at this point, Carrie and Maybelle were age 12 and 7 respectively, and Fanny, his wife, was age 37 at the time. But Charles Lawson returned to the house, and Fanny, who was on the porch, got shot as well. Mary, who was 17 at the time, a scream could be heard as soon as the shot was fired, and James and Raymond, ages 4 and 2, attempted to find a hiding place within the house. Lawson shot his teenage daughter Mary and then found and killed the 2 young boys. And we really should give a sensitivity warning or some type of warning, because this is very gruesome. Because lastly, he killed his daughter, Mary Lou, who was just 4 months old, and it was thought that he bludgeoned her to death. After the murders, he went into the nearby woods and several hours later shot himself. The bodies of the family members by this time had already been found with their arms crossed and rocks under their heads, so it seemed like he posed them. And people had already started to gather along with local law enforcement and Arthur, his 16-year-old son, who he had sent on an errand and the last surviving member of this massacre. So the suicidal gunshot, was actually heard and witnessed by multiple people on the property. And a police officer who was with Arthur ran towards the sound of the gunshot to discover Charles Lawson's body along with letters to his parents. There was also footprints that were they found footprints that were going in circles around a nearby tree, so it was supposed that he had been pacing there for however many hours that he had been in the forest for. So that's pretty much the whole story. It's I think Santos will agree with me here. It's very cut and dry, as in like
it seems almost too simple. It seems like it was just, out of the blue, he became insane, killed his whole family, killed himself, and that's it. It's almost, and I suppose that's part of it is what we're doing, and also just people who like true crime in general tend to jump into all kind of crazy conspiracies, and we will talk about those kind of conspiracies, but it seems a bit too simple to me as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is interesting to me that he would send one of his sons on an errand and then decide to kill his whole family. I don't know why that detail sticks out to me, because we're obviously dealing with a madman here, but what were like, because there's not much theories, because again, there's not much to go off of, because it just seemed like he one day decided to kill most of his family except for one specific son. So what were Santos, what were some of the theories of at least like motives, possible motives, or possible, just what happened that could have caused them to do this?
Right. So there are two main theories, and the third one that I quite like as well. So the first one is quite simple. He had suffered an injury, I believe it was a few months before. So people believe that maybe this changed him more than people actually realized. So, maybe he became insane after that, is what people are essentially trying to say. However, the autopsy that was conducted on his body revealed absolutely nothing wrong with the brain itself. So this theory, despite being plausible, and in fact somewhat likely, because obviously we're talking about 1929, we're not talking about now, so autopsies back then would not have been as good as they would be now, so who knows. But essentially that's one theory. The other theory is, as many things that come out of the 1920s, about incest. Lawson essentially is believed to have had an incestuous relationship with Marie, so one of his daughters. Stella, who is a relative, said that she overheard Fanny, so that's Lawson's wife, sister-in-law and aunts, so this is Jetty, and I have to read from my notes here because it's a lot of names. So Jetty and Stella's own mother discussing how Fanny, again, Lawson's wife, had told them that she was concerned about incest between Lawson and Marie. Now, Jetty had already been suspicious for a while, so she had been suspicious since 1928, so this wasn't a new thing for her. But it was something that bugged her. So this wasn't news per se, if that makes sense. Now, Ella May, who is one of Marie's closest friends, stated that Marie had told her that she was pregnant with Lawson's child. Now, Akash, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe this was just a flaw in my research, but I actually did not see anything relating to Marie being pregnant. Surely an autopsy, I don't know if an autopsy was conducted on their bodies, but it feels like something that, given the circumstances, might have been the case. But I couldn't find anything. Now, one of the family's neighbors also said that they knew that some problems were going on in the Lawson household, and he essentially pointed towards the incest theory as well, and that essentially Lawson, not wanting anyone to know about it, resulted to killing his whole family. Now, this is a very, very appealing theory, with a lot of people actually, sort of confirming it almost, or giving it power. However, I feel like it's a bit weird if he did send his son on an errand, if this was to be the theory that is actually true, because if he was that set on no one knowing about it, surely he would have done the same thing to his son, I think. Or it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense if that wasn't the case. This third theory, and this is one that I quite like, that has absolutely no sort of backing behind it, but that I just quite like it, so I thought I would share it, is the fact that the Lawson family were believed to have witnessed a instance of organized crime. So, they made it essentially a shadowy organization,
right?
For some reason, just made it look like it was Lawson killing everyone and then committing suicide afterwards, just to for the Lawson family to not say anything about the supposed um, organized crime incident that they had witnessed. I thought that was a very interesting theory. I quite like it as well. It gives it more meat, I suppose. But what about you, Akash? Which theory do you think is the right one? Is there anything that I missed, or is there any other theories that you'd like to talk about?
You're forgetting the most recent theory. Well, I don't know if it's recent, but the one that's been brought to light the most recently. So I don't know if you've seen the Netflix series 28 Days Haunted.
I have not, no.
Well, so obviously this is a Christmas themed murder, but the reason I chose the reason this was brought to my attention was because of the Netflix series 28 Days Haunted. And you don't need to know the show, honestly. All you need to know that it's three teams of paranormal investigators, and they are stuck in haunted place. Well, quote unquote stuck. They are stuck in haunted places for 28 days without connection to the outside world. Quote unquote, whatever, right? And there's two people. So there's a medium and a demonologist who, yeah, I don't know either. There's a medium and a demonologist who get sent to Madison Dry Goods Store or something. And there that is the place where they believe Charles Lawson is. I don't know if they explain it. I'm gonna be honest with you, I wasn't paying that much attention, but apparently that is where the murders took place, or where the bodies are buried, one of the two. And
right,
that's why it's haunted, because the entire the murder of the family is haunting that place. And they believe, by communicating with the spirits, allegedly communicating with the spirits on reality TV, they believe that the reason Charles Lawson went on just had a mad one and killed his whole family was because he was possessed by a demon.
Right. Yeah.
Now I know what you're thinking. What scientific backing do they have for this? Well, they the lady talked to the children and confirmed that one of them, I'm assuming Mary, was pregnant with the father's child. So there was an ancestral relationship happening. They definitely did not look this up on Wikipedia beforehand. They definitely found that out by talking to the ghosts, because this is who would lie on reality. It's called reality TV. Why would they lie? So they are trustworthy. So yeah, I that is one of the theories, and it is the theory I believe the most.
Oh, yeah.
There's also completely unrelated, but in the show, they imply that the demonologist guy gets possessed by the same demon.
Right. Okay.
And then they rush him to a hospital, which I don't know what a hospital is gonna do when you're getting possessed, but sure, man, whatever.
Listen, Akash, if there's anything that I take out of this story, it's that Netflix is down bad. Like they are scraping the bottom of the barrel at this point. Like,
but yeah, those are the main theories. I think realistically, I don't know though, the organized crime theory, because I'm trying to think when the prohibition happened. Because when America banned alcohol there was a huge ruckus about like there organized crime like swept through America because of like the illegality of alcohol. So
So it was 1920 to 1933.
So that was the prohibition.
That was a prohibition, yeah. So
Okay.
it does fall. This does fall within the
Okay.
like prohibition.
I want to believe that because that would make the. I feel like that would make the most logical sense because I don't think there is a reason where Charles Lawson just went mad and killed his old family, but then premeditated this by like I don't know, like buying everyone Christmas gifts and then sending his son away so his son didn't have to witness. I don't know. It makes more sense to me as if it was one of those things where one of them witnessed organized crime, and the guy was like, "Oh no, like we have to be safe. Kill their entire family. Make it look like an make it look like I don't know, make it look like an accident." And then they just made it look like I think.
Listen, Akash, I think you've been watching too much John Wick. I'll be honest. I don't.
You
should dial down on the Jason Bourne movies, mate.
I can't. They're too addictive. But I just don't. I just can't. None of the theories really explain why Charles Lawson would just like just murder his entire family. Like it just his behavior doesn't make sense.
I think the head injury one is the most credible to me. I think the autopsy were just not as good back then, therefore couldn't see if anything was indeed wrong with the the guy's brain. So I if I had to like edge my bets, I'd go on maybe you were just a bit cuckoo in the head.
Do you think it could be a mix of both, that he suffered? Because there are documented cases as old as I think the 1800s where brain damage led to a severe change in one's like personality and one's judgment. So do you think it could be a mix of like that happening to Charles Lawson as well as him finding out his daughter is pregnant with his child? Like,
it might be that maybe you're the you're the one with the degree in psychology in this space, but it might have been, I suppose, that you've just got the injury that he sustained that wasn't visible on the autopsy because it wasn't just that good at the time. Maybe he just got way too paranoid about something, and that could be anything with the incest theory. It could even be anything with the organized crime theory as well. Something happened which, instead of trying to work through it, you maybe just got way too paranoid about it, and one day you just snapped. And you know what? Maybe Arthur was just his favorite son. Maybe that's all that there is to it.
Yeah, I mean, people say you don't have favorites, but Arthur was probably his favorite.
You know what's extremely weird to me, though? Now, this is not a theory that is, of any kind, but I'm just bringing this to light. What's really weird to me is that, after a dad going absolutely bonkers and killing everyone in his sight, if that wasn't enough, after all of that, the house was actually turned into a museum, like a tourist attraction by the brother.
Yes, I was literally going to talk about that. Yes.
And that is honestly, that is so weird.
Did you see about the cake thing?
I did, yes.
So
go on. You explain it.
So apparently,
this is proper weirdness.
Apparently, one of their daughters, Mary, the one impregnated by the father, allegedly, she had baked a cake on Christmas Day, on the day that they were all murdered. And obviously it was still there after they were all murdered, and Charlie's brother, Marion Lawson, actually got that cake and put it in the museum. It was like displayed on like the Lawson family murder tour, but visitors, like, there were raisins on the cake, and visitors kept like picking at the raisins and like taking them as like souvenirs or eating them. So they had to like cover the cake in like a little like I don't know what it's called, but like they covered it in like one of them little glass like tops, which I find hilarious. That tourists just came in and like their souvenir from the murder house was raisins from a cake
made by someone who was possibly suffering from abuse and who was murdered by their dad.
I don't know.
Just like,
That's
what?
That's
Okay.
ridiculous.
At which point, right? At which point of this story do the tourists not become just as insane?
I think
because that is sick. What they did is actually sick. Sick as in not sick as in it's cool. It's sick as in it's absolutely sick. It's the how bad it like you don't just wake up one day and say, you know what I feel like doing today? Let's go to a museum of a family that was brutally murdered, and tell you what, I kind of feel some cake today.
Kind of feel some murder cake. I'd like some murder cake, please.
So that was it for the Lawson family massacre. If you like what we do give us a follow on everything, really, on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Give us a follow on our social media. Akash is pretty funny, and he will post there sometimes. We promise. Do let us know what you think about this episode. What theory did you like the most? Personally, like I said, I like the head injury. Akash likes the organized crime one. Let us know which one you think is better, or if you've got another one. Otherwise, just also give us a follow on our website, mildly-interesting.co.uk. We do post on there sometimes. But yeah, without further ado, I'm Charles Lawson.
And I'm Akash Lush.
And this was Amateur Investigators.